I'm not sure I really need you in my life anymore. So about a year ago, I started on this journey, not on the journey of narcissism, but on the journey of becoming honest about who I am, what I've struggled with, what I've been through. And that journey has led through a lot of different areas, through a lot of different venues, and I've met a lot of different people along the way who've recognized and seen that my journey is similar to things that they've experienced or dealt with in their lives. About a year ago, over a year ago, I went through a program called Wake Up Warrior. And I did what was called a Wake Up Warrior Challenge, which was a 30-day challenge. And in that time, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the lies that I've created in my life that have hurt me, have destroyed me, have wrecked relationships, have destroyed my image in front of other people, have destroyed my relationship with God, have really just wreaked havoc on a lot of areas in my life. And after I went through that program, I wrote a lot of things down, and I wanted to start communicating it to people. Like, not just the stuff I learned from Warrior, but the stuff I started learning about narcissism and about my life and about how it's really hurt a lot of things in my life. So at first I started down the journey of being honest and sharing that, and I started on my personal Instagram and personal Facebook. And I was very surprised at the responses that I saw. There was many people that just wouldn't engage at all in the content that I was putting up. And I was just putting up different posts and talking about narcissism. There was people that seemed very leery about the content that I was putting up there, about me being honest about me lying or me cheating or me being involved in affairs or the different scandals that I'd been involved in. And then I started getting more information and more people contacting me from Christian circles, Christians that either I had as friends or Christians that I'd been a part of, in college or different things like that, that started reaching out to me and saying hey, what are you doing? Why are you putting this information out there? And I specifically remember one person that contacted me and said why are you putting this out there? You really want your daughter to see this as she grows up? And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I really do, because I'm not going to be fake to my daughter, and I'm not going to hide behind, a pretty face or, a perfect mentality or image or something like that, because I don't want her to end up with someone who's done the things that I've done. I don't want her to end up with a person who lies and who's cheated and manipulated and gaslight and hurt people in their lives. And so I wanted to know. And I want to know what's happened. I want to know that it's not right. I want to know that I'm not proud of it. But I also want to know that there is hope of changing when you have honesty and when you start making those consistent steps towards growth and towards healing through therapy, through God. And I started having more people reach out, different people that, would accuse me of, just trying to put up information to, get attention or to get supply, as the narcissistic term would be. Or I had people that were reaching out saying hey, can you really think of what you're putting up there? It's not very Christian, it's not very, in one sense it was kind of it's not kosher, it's not a good thing that you're putting up stuff about your flaws, you're a Christian, you're supposed to be better than that. Other people that would attack me as far as I don't think you're doing this for the right reasons. I think you're doing this just as a form of, self-punishment, all this kind of stuff. And other people that would say hey, you're not a Christian, how can you do these things? And I don't think you're a Christian, and et cetera, et cetera. And honestly, I got a lot of negative, I guess you could say support. I got a lot of negativity from a lot of people in Christian communities that are blatantly Christian. They go to church and they profess Christ, all those types of things. I got a lot of flack from it. And so it kind of died off. I kind of stopped posting, different things about narcissism. I posted several things and then it just kind of died off. And so then over a period of time, I was I still feel like I need to share my story. I still feel like I need to share the things that have been going on to spread awareness about narcissism, to educate people about it, to help with awareness, change, growth, and healing. And so then I went to another venue and completely disconnected all my stuff. So people couldn't see, people who followed me on my personal, didn't see stuff automatically on my new Instagram account or my new Facebook. But specifically when I first started, I started off on TikTok. So I know some people watching this are going to be like, oh gosh, like he's on TikTok. Like, yeah. And I found a lot of really good people there. A lot of people who were not just interested in what I've gone through, but could relate. And that were also on the platform, like trying to promote healing and help to a lot of people out there who are dealing with a lot of things that come as a result from narcissistic abuse. So I started off on that platform. I started off in March of 2021. And in a period of 9 months or so, the platform kind of skyrocketed, for me at least, all the way up to over 50,000 people that were following and, interacting with my content. And then I started thinking like, okay, like let me go ahead and post some of this stuff to my Instagram, not my personal, but the one I created. So Instagram and then Facebook's like Raw Motivations kind of was the brand that I started in one sense. And all the time I'm doing this, like everything is like separate. Everything is like set apart. And, I'd thought so many times of like, why don't I just go ahead and just like let everybody know? Why don't I just go ahead and like open it up to the communities and the people that I've been involved with through like high school, through college, through different ministries, through different churches. And, I was always like worried, I was always like afraid as far as like, what are people going to think? I remember a time that out of desperation years ago, I set up a group and I asked these guys to try to help hold me accountable for, my actions, my attitudes, my different things that I was struggling with at that time. And it's not necessarily something I can hold on them because like that's not something that they should be accountable for. But nobody really responded except one person. And as a result, I kind of lost some of my respect for some of those people, but I also like was a little bit like, do they actually care? Like, are they willing to put in the effort for another person, another brother in Christ at that point? And then a couple years later, about 5 years later, I think it was, I like tried to rekindle that again. It might have been longer than 5 years. I tried to rekindle that again, and so I started a group. And I started a group, and as I did that, I was really active in trying to share, like, hey, this is what God's doing in my life. This is what I'm struggling with. This is the stuff that I'm learning. And again, got very little response. And so much to the point that I'm interacting with other Christians. I'm interacting with other guys in Christianity, in churches that are deacons, Sunday school teachers, things like that, in other churches around the country. And one finally contacted me and was like, hey, I can't be a part of this group anymore. And I was like, why? And they explained like they couldn't be a part of this group because they felt obligated and pressured to be able to share what God was doing in their lives. And so as a result, I shut down that group. I was like, if that's that much of a deal that you can't get on and share with another brother in Christ a minute out of your day of what God's doing, I'm not sure I really need you in my life anymore. So that was tough. So all that as far as like background of me being worried about sharing my TikTok journey and my journey into narcissism had me wondering like, should I actually ever share this with anybody else? Should I actually like open up and share it to friends and family members that know me, but they don't actually know the content that I've been creating for, almost a year now? And then I started having people at work interact with me about it. Like, I had people come up to me and like, oh, you're on TikTok. And like, I had people like, hey, come up to me and like, oh, I saw you on TikTok. I had someone today who was like, why do you keep popping on my For You page? And like different things like that. It was really kind of funny. But I had a conversation with an individual at work, and they came up to me and they said like, hey, I just want to let you know I really appreciate your content. And I was like, wow, In my mind, what I've been expecting for a long period of time is, when I first saw someone who was going to interact with me on my content, like outside of just digital media, like friends, family, or just like someone in person, I was thinking I was going to get like shame. I was thinking I was going to get disappointment. I was thinking I was going to get people like kind of like shunning me or looking at me differently or shaming me for everything that I've done. And that hasn't been the case with the people that I've actually seen in person, or that I've actually said like, hey, like I've seen you. And it's been really encouraging. And then probably about a week ago, I saw a post that popped up on Facebook, and it was one of the ones that I'd posted over a year ago about the lies that I had about narcissism and things like that. And when I saw it, it just kind of put a prompting in my heart of like, I think you need to share. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. And then it was like, no, like I think you need to share what's actually going on, because part of it is your journey, and part of it is being even more transparent and more honest, not just with a community that didn't know you from Adam to start off with, but people that have known you your whole life. And that's nervous to me. And that's nerve-wracking in some senses, because a lot of the Christian community that I came from doesn't look too kindly on narcissists or cheaters or people that lie or etc. And a lot of times there's a big stigmatism against that. Now, am I saying they should justify all that? No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm also saying in a lot of Christian circles, there's a lot of aspects that people shun those type of people. They look down on them. And then they go out and they process and they do their own sin, and nobody says anything. And for me, like, I'm kind of tired of that. I'm tired of fake people, fake Christianity, fake believers, and just fake people in general, really. And so, when it comes down to it, like, my content's out there. I'm a content creator who's working on providing awareness about narcissism, growth, healing, and change. And if people don't like that, that's on them. But I'm here trying to help people to better their lives and continue to grow. And I can no longer live in fear about that. I can no longer live in the possibility that I'll feel shame or feel like discouragement or disappointment from the people that have been in my life for years. But instead, I need to own up and say, hey, this is what I've been truthful about. This is what I've been honest about, to starting off to a bunch of strangers on TikTok. Well, this is me as well, all around. So, yeah, that's just me kind of spouting a little bit, standing on a couple soapboxes, and also just saying like, hey, this is me. This is part of my journey. If you're interested in knowing more about my journey, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Would love to have you interact more. But yeah, just wanted to say like, hey, this is me coming out and saying like, hey, I'm a narcissist. I'm someone who has hurt a lot of people, have abused people mentally and emotionally through the manipulation, the gaslighting, the things that I've put them through. I've cheated on my wife. I've lied to her. And everything that's happened, everything that I've just described, I'm not proud of. And I'm working to continue to let people know about these issues and have people understand that there is opportunity for growth, healing, and change, but that comes through honesty, and a lot of that comes through God too. Being honest where we are, where we need to go, and we can't do it on our own. So that's all I got. Thanks.